welcome to the North Bank podcast, where as ever I'm joined by Stef and Chris. Hello, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Hello, mate.
Good evening. How are we?
Very well.
Buzzing.
Loving it. Life's good, isn't it?
Had a great day yesterday.
Apart from the 9-point gap, but we can.
Yeah, that was that's today.
Yeah, today's results weren't as favourable as I would have liked.
Spurs dropped points. Man City lost. It depends on how you look at things. Perception.
Whether you're an optimist or a realist.
Yeah, gee. I've got definitions on those. Would you like to hear them?
Ooh.
Right, so look, we're going to look back at that utterly mad first half yesterday. Not much to comment on in the second half, and then we're going to look ahead. I'm choosing my words deliberately. A look ahead to the United game on Wednesday, because I don't think there's ever a United game that I look forward to, and this one is no different. So none of us went to the game yesterday, but we all watched it, kind of. I know, Steph, you had to duck out for the second half perhaps, or midway through, but
if you're going to miss a half, it was the second one.
Yeah, exactly. I left on about 70 minutes.
Yeah, don't miss the first half. That's it. So look, team news dropped, and whilst our starting 11 was very, very strong, the two notable absentees were Partey and Merino. What was it? A knee injury and a muscle injury, precautionary. Partey did travel with the squad and was seen getting on or off the bus, but
holding his bag, as instructed. As
per Zinchenko's autobiography, that might not mean he was fit and available to play at that point. So I'm just keeping everything crossed that it was really precautionary and with a nod to United on Wednesday. But that starting 11, you looked at that and you thought, yeah, okay, that's still a very strong starting 11 with plenty off the bench as well if we needed it. The West Ham team, I didn't pay much heed to who was playing. I think I didn't really care about who was playing for them. Kudus wasn't. Jared Bowen was probably their threat. But Chris, what was your takeaway after the after the first half? Might have been the same as after the second half. I don't know.
I think I said to you all in the group that fifth goal was crucial. It sounds mad to say it when you're 4-2 up and then you feel like you have to get the fifth. That was my kind of few moment, was when that penalty went in, because I just thought you just don't want to give them a sniff, and there was obviously that swing of momentum going their way, and we can talk about the kind of injustice of that, particularly the second goal, the free kick. But I was just glad to get to half-time, wrest some control back, and then throughout the second half I'd wanted it to be that exactly as it played out, boring, just controlled, without much incident. I think after about 60 minutes, they'd had a go. They resorted to kicking us. And I've watched it again, and I was paranoid about us picking up more injuries, and I was being particularly sensitive to the treatment we were getting. But it was almost like they were losing. It was getting a bit petulant. They were just leaving a bit on us after every challenge. And I was just thinking, let's just get the rest of our guys through this unscathed. And so hopefully everyone that had niggles and was coming off early will be all right for Wednesday. So that's my kind of main summary, really.
Yeah, the worrying one is Gabriel, because it's a
recurrence of the previous.
Yes,
yeah,
and you don't want to be nursing him through every game. All of a sudden we'll be hearing that he's only training, or he's not training, and he's just wheeling him out for the game and so on. But home to United on Wednesday, away to Fulham on Sunday, it's not like the games are getting easy that you can take him out of one or two and give him a full 2 weeks recuperation. So I mean, but we'll see again. At 5-2, Arteta at half time probably thought, if I can't trust my team to hold on to a 3 goal cushion at half time, then we got problems. We got bigger problems than a Gabriel muscle injury. So yeah. Steph, you watched it in a pub in Finsbury Park, which must have been pretty cool in terms of atmosphere, that first half.
Oh, yeah. In terms of the first half, I mean, the atmosphere, it wasn't a raucous sort of match day crowd, but it was quite lively. And it was the 12 pins in Finsbury Park. And I was just taken, and I posted it out on our various social media pages. They played the full kind of like Arsenal repertoire of music. So they played The Angel before kickoff. They tried to make it like a home game. It was brilliant. I really quite enjoyed it. But then it was the way the first half unfolded, at that kind of delight at getting the lead, and then, even more sort of relief and security at getting 2-0. Then to go 3 and 4, everyone's just looking at each other going, no, it's not happening again, is it? Only for them to get the 2 quick goals back and everyone to start going, hang on a minute, we're the ones in the pub drinking, but it looks like Arsenal are drunk because we're just swinging and hitting everything, but also getting hit as well. It was just bizarre. But I mean, my big takeaway is that, we were brilliant. The goals are disappointing on one side because we really did go to sleep after the 4th goal that kind of let them in. The couple of players. I mean, if you're letting Wan-Bissaka, best you, who's literally shipped out of United because he wasn't attacking enough as a fullback, he scored 2 in 2 for West Ham. I mean, that's not a good look. And then, the stupid free kick giveaway for the second one, albeit what a free kick by Paquetá. Can't really,
Emerson
finish.
Emerson.
Was it Emerson? Was it?
Yeah. It wasn't. It was never ever a free kick.
No.
What Anthony Taylor saw there, I've no idea.
If that's a free kick, then the way that Bissaka scythed down Havertz in the second half is definitely a free kick, and he got nothing for that. So here we are again. Let's
not worry too much about the refereeing side of things, because actually, again, we were just brilliant. And that Trossard goal kind of summed it up, because it was movement, it was vision, it was the passing, it was a team that were in form and happy and positive and confident. And that, I don't really want to talk about it too early, but what we saw at Anfield today between Liverpool and Man City, boy, the difference there between a team that are flying and have that confidence. Like, there's really no substitute. All these things, like, you can practice your patterns and you can practice certain things, your set pieces, but ultimately, football is kind of a form game. And so Man City just look completely bereft. It looks like they're running through treacle, whereas Liverpool are just on it and at them. And we had that same vibe in the first half against West Ham as well. And just, sorry to wang on a little bit, but I had this thought.
It's a short, concise takeaway.
No, I know, but I can't help it. There's been a lot to talk about this weekend.
It's a lot of extra sides.
Yes, exactly. The Manager of the Month curse is something that keeps cropping up, and the last person to suffer from it was Nuno at Nottingham Forest. But when I'm watching the highlights yesterday and they get in a narrow victory against Leicester, I just thought, feels like a bit of a stupid curse, because who is given the Manager of the Month award? It's a manager whose team have been in form for that month. And the thing about runs of form is they usually do come to an end at some point. So I do wonder if that's just a quirk of statistics, that whoever wins the Manager of the Month award is probably due a loss. I know that's not quite always how it works, but I did wonder if that was the case. Look, we are banging form and, scoring goals. What is it? 13 goals scored in the last 3 games, 3 conceded. It's quite annoying that the 3 were conceded. But, to have that front line back and firing, Martin Odegaard. Wow. Love him.
I'm trying to remember what it was I was going to say in response to something you said, but you've then carried on talking for 5 minutes, and I've completely forgotten. I think it was back to when you said we had a bit of a wobble, and all I thought was, well, if you're going to have a bit of a wobble, be 4-0 up at the time, and it's okay. And it was never a free kick, and I am blaming Trossard for Wan-Bissaka's goal. He looked at him, and it was a fantastic through ball from Mark Sola. It was a beautiful threaded pass.
And he had all the time in the world, though, to make that pass, which is another you could look at.
Yeah, but Trossard went
daydreaming.
To sleep. Yeah.
Calafiori was a bit flat-footed as well. There was a kind of conflation of things. But
I do want to, Steph, just one, I don't want an explanation, just one name. Who was your man of the match? I don't want any justification. Who was your man of the match?
Saka.
Chris, who was your man of the match?
Saka.
Yeah, and I think that's fair enough. But for me, Odegaard should have been man of the match, or could easily be man of the match. If you think of the Trossard goal, he had two pivotal roles in that build up to that. Interestingly about that, there were 7 West Ham players in their penalty area, and Havertz and Trossard, and along with Saka, obviously, with his lovely kind of cushion control and ball across. Very similar to the Champions League goal, wasn't it? That he squared for Havertz to tap into an empty net. But the way we worked that goal, and the 7 West Ham players, defenders, they were just like mesmerised. They were like statues. But the real thing I want to draw your mind to in terms of Odegaard is the 4th goal, the Havertz goal. Everybody is rightly lauding Trossard for a fantastic first time ball over the top. But I recommend that you go back and re-watch that goal. Look at Odegaard's touch to get the ball to Trossard. It's ridiculous. Like the ball was dropping, I don't know, I can't remember, it was a ricochet or a deflection, and in one touch, I don't know how he saw it, and he left it in such a position that Trossard didn't have to do anything other than put his foot to the ball and knock it over the top for Havertz. Okay, it could have been defended better by the West Ham defence at that point. But Odegaard's touch was ridiculous. It was just very cushioned, only 5 or 6 yards, but one side of 2 players just completely cut them out of the game into space for Trossard just to walk onto it and just lob the ball over the top for Havertz to run onto. I just thought Odegaard was involved in absolutely everything that we did that was good. And that's the key. I mean, it's obvious to say that our form has seen a big uptick since he's returned, i.e. 3 games, 3 wins, 13 goals scored and so on. 2 very tricky, potentially away games, and we've banged in 10 goals.
Crazy.
It's ridiculous. And Odegaard's responsible. I know Saka's getting the stats. And look, I have got some stats on Saka as well. But on the team itself, that's the 5th time that we've scored 5+ goals away from home in a calendar year. Only 2 teams have done that previously. Listen to this. I don't know if you know this already. It was Sunderland in 1892 and Manchester City in 1937. That's ridiculous. 5 times we've scored 5+ goals. So I don't know, apart from Fulham, have we got another away game this calendar year? I'm not sure. Palace
in the league.
Right. Okay. So we've got 2 more chances to kind of extend that. In terms of Saka, there was a stat doing the rounds before this game, and it was most goal involvements in the Premier League before your 24th birthday. And so the top 3 are pretty secure out on their own. It's Michael Owen, he has 138, Rooney 133, and Fowler 129. But below that, Lukaku's on 112, Ronaldo's on 110, Cesc is on 105. Sterling was next in line, but Saka's jumped him. He's on 97 now. He had 3 goal assists, a goal and 2 assists yesterday, but you don't get an assist for winning a penalty though, so he would have had 3 assists if that was allowed. So he's on 97 goal involvements before I think when does he turn 24? I think it's in I don't know, is it in September next year or something like that? So he's got the whole season anyway. He's got the whole season. So he's 8 behind Fabregas. He's 13 behind Ronaldo and 15 behind Lukaku, goal involvement. So I would put money on him getting up to the fourth. He's 129. What's he? 32 more goal involvements between now and the end of the season might be a bit steep. That would get him into third over Fowler.
What if we want to win the league?
He's also very much on target to become the Premier League record holder for assists in one season. The record's currently held by Henry and De Bruyne on 20. And Fabregas is on 10 after only 13 games. So he's very much... I mean, his delivery from the corners is quite a sight. And that goal that Gabriel got against West Ham was just a thing of beauty, as much because of how Gabriel got them all together first and said, right, no, you're going to do this, this and this. Everybody in the stadium was like, could see this. It was such an obvious, right, no, we're doing this. And it came off. But you know, okay, the movement of the blocking, the shielding, all of that, that the rest of the team have kind of in terms of their responsibility, it's all redundant if the delivery's not inch perfect. And Saka's delivery was just beautiful. So he's like, you know, 10 assists. I think he's got 5 goals, isn't it, so far? Can you name... Arsenal had a player in 2015-16 who narrowly missed out with 19 assists. Quickly, who is it?
Ozil.
Yeah, Ozil got 19 assists in 2015-16. But yeah, I think Saka, he's getting a lot of attention, rightly so. His numbers are ridiculously consistent, like high output, and his own teammates kind of falter by comparison, like Trossard and Martinelli in particular, I guess. But it takes that connection, that relationship he's got with Odegaard and Timber as well on the right hand side. I think, you know, that's triumvirate, that they're electric together, you know, much as they were with Ben White playing as well. But yeah, so I just wanted a little nod to Odegaard and watch that goal, watch that touch to the pre-assist, the hleb, if you like. That it was I just like, wow, it's such a kind of a I've not heard anybody mention it. No commentator mentioned it. No analyst mentioned it that I noticed. No one on Twitter's mentioned it at all that I've seen. But you just watch it again. There you go. You've got to do that. It's your homework. You've got to watch it. Okay. Right. Madness 5-2 half time. And Chris, you did message the group and say, I just want complete boredom now in the second half. And we got that. and I wasn't, because that, I mean, I think I messaged, even with 20 minutes to go, because of what happened in that, if you looked at the clock at 27, 28 minutes, we were 1-0 up. Fast forward 6 minutes, we were 4-0 up. Fast forward 3 minutes, 4 minutes, we were 4-2. It just made me think that such was the game potential that if we had conceded like an early second half goal like we did in Sporting, that it might have been a different story. But we didn't, and it wasn't. And I think our game management was spot on. And as a consequence, we are now second. Do you know how we're second? Do you know by what measure we're second?
Away goal against Chelsea.
No, alphabetical.
Alphabetical.
Is it?
We've got exactly the same record as Chelsea.
Yeah, I thought that we were above them purely because of
it doesn't go. It doesn't go on that. It just goes on a draw.
A.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous. We should be Aardvark FC then.
Is that AAA?
Go Dutch. Arsenal. There you go.
Well, they do that. Some people like window cleaners to get in the top of the local directory.
That's why Amazon is called Amazon.
Andrew, whatever.
But back in the day when it was phone books, and directories,
kids, any kids listening?
All right, old men.
Speaking of kids listening, I hope my student turns up this week for his little tutor session and I hope he didn't leave the ground yesterday after 36 minutes. And
West Ham fan.
He did.
It's a West Ham fan.
I hope he did. Those people don't deserve football.
There's someone's West Ham fans posted a video of them all leaving, and then 5 minutes later them all coming back in again because West Ham had scored 2.
Missed it now.
So anyway, any other takeaways from the West Ham game?
something that we've always said is that the right side functions better than the left, which we know to be true. But I thought actually yesterday there was some really lovely movement going on the left-hand side as well. And credit to Rice and Trossard for combining well and making that happen.
I thought you were going to say that's all Calafiori, some lovely movement.
Just lovely hair, chiseled cheekbones. No coincidence that Odegaard was drifting over there too for overloads, and then would ping it back over to the right. But it was working brilliantly. And
to that end, Zinchenko has featured well from the bench in the last couple of games, and if that dovetailing of him and Calafiori, continues, then that's good, because he actually does, in possession wise anyway, bring a lot of control, and looks to pin the team back that we're playing by keeping hold of the ball. So that's good.
I'd add to that Jorginho again with his kind of assuredness, and we were lining up for a free kick. And you wouldn't have seen this, Steph, and it probably didn't make the highlights, but he was stood about 4 feet away from Fabianski, who was trying to line his wall up, and he was trying to look to get his angles. And Jorginho was basically doing this in front of him, moving side to side to block him, and the ref had to come and have a word. It was brilliant.
Is that the Sterling one that went just wide as well?
It could have been, yeah.
Because the kick, Fabianski was rooted, and it was like, I think Fabianski half expected the net to ripple.
It was about a foot wide.
Yeah, it wasn't far off.
Well, just on the S-housery then, obviously missing the end of the game, I tried to catch up as best as I could when I got in at stupid o'clock this morning. And I don't know, some of the reporting around things and the way... So Sky Punditry was talking about some of the criticism for Saka is not necessarily doing it in the big games, and I just thought that's kind of lazy punditry, because here's a player who's been England's player of the year for 2 years. He's got a brilliant goal scoring record against the top 6 for Arsenal, so they're just saying stuff for the sake of saying stuff. And then when I dig into more specific punditry about the game, Gary Neville's talking about Saka walking to the corner flag like he's retiring.
I thought that was quite funny.
It is quite funny.
I thought that line was a good line, actually.
But it's a double standard when I'm then watching the Liverpool-Man City game today, and McAllister's doing the same, and it's all for the benefit so the team can get sorted. And you're like, whoa, hang on a minute. And this is the thing, again, from the bits of football that I've watched this weekend beyond Arsenal, there were moments in the Chelsea game. Okay, Chelsea are leading 2-0. Lavia gets tackled on the ball. It's not a foul, but he feels a knock on his ankle, so he decides to stay down. And what happens? After a while, the referee blows the whistle, stops, sees if he's all right. He's on his feet, but Chelsea have now reset. If a team has got something to defend, whether it's a lead or whether it's a healthy draw that they might be getting, naturally players will do what they can to try and slow the game down. Or it could be the opposition who are down trying to interrupt the rhythm of the opposite team. And yet this commentary about us and everything that's put on us and the dark arts and all that nonsense as well, it's like, now we don't have that soft centre. They need something new with which to try and poke the Arsenal bear with. And I just, I love it, because bring it on. Because while we keep winning and scoring 5 goals in tough away games, long may it continue. If it's effective, then, I'm sort of all for it. But I just don't think we're doing anything that any other team does. And there are a lot of West Ham fans, very vocal online, which I know is probably not representative of most of their fan base, talking about the way we spoiled the game and this, that and the other. You want to spoil the game, have a look at the West Ham that started that game. That's Lopetegui's West Ham, where they're all very passive. They're just sat in a low block and no one's really doing anything, and they're giving Odegaard and Saka free rein, and we absolutely took advantage of it. I felt like the reaction of West Ham was almost, that was on the players. That was the players' sense of indignity, of like, oh, we're being shown to be fools here, so we need to up our game a little bit. And, a couple of good moments, Bowen's through ball and the free kick, obviously, but otherwise it was a kind of, It's like, I remember being not a very good footballer in my youth, and we'd get beaten all the time. And there is a point in the game where you just think, I'm just going to kick them now because I'm not getting close to them playing football. So I'll just try and stop what they're doing in as aggressive way as possible. So I just think that I don't know, the discourse needs to reflect the good things that we're doing, because Liverpool are getting all sorts of praise and they've got quite a long way to go yet.
I like it, Steph. You said it's good. We're relevant.
Yeah.
They're running out of things to have a pop at us over.
And the other thing about the Saka comparisons that go on all the time with, is Cole Palmer better than him? Is Salah or whatever? It's always Saka that they're comparing.
What does that tell you?
Well, exactly. They're fixated on him, and they're trying to show that he's maybe not the player that we all know him to be.
I think the issue is that Saka doesn't do the spectacular.
He's just so consistent. And efficient.
His level is so high that when he does cut inside two players and ping it into the top corner, it's just people that have expected him to do that. Like he missed one yesterday, and the biggest shock was that he missed it. Not that like he didn't score. It was that he missed it.
And he miscontrolled, got a pass pinged over to him, and he just miscontrolled it, skidded away. And it happened in the Forest game, I remember. And there was a kind of collective from everyone. It was on my side, on the East Stand, but immediately followed with applause, because we just know he's got so much in the bank with us that he can just do that occasionally. It doesn't matter.
That's when I said to the person next to me in the Forest game, I said, he is human.
Cut me, do I not bleed?
So itchy.
He'd be even itchier today, won't he?
Well, we were having that chat before we started recording about him walking around the ground to all four stands with the six, and someone tweeted that, why is he walking around the ground pointing out how many games he's lost in the last 7?
Shame he hasn't got 115 fingers.
Well, Steph, you had a...
Yeah, someone's posted online. They've photoshopped his hand holding up the 1 and created another one, so it looks like 115. Which is very clever.
Beat me to it.
Yeah. Steph, did you have a quiz related to the game, or was it unrelated to the game?
No, I have a quiz related to Gabriel. Did you want to do that before we talk about Man United?
Yeah, if it's a quiz that requires a bit of thought...
Okay, right. Gabriel is this generation's most scoringest defenders. He scored his 17th Premier League goal against West Ham. So I thought I would delve into the Premier League records, which are on their website, and I'd look up the Premier League all-time goal scorers.
I've got a name that's got to be at top of that.
Wait. But basically, I'm going to ask you a series of players, and I would like you to tell me if they've got more or less goals than Gabriel. Now, remember, Gabriel has got 17 Premier League goals. These are just random players. They're not in a particular list or orders. I picked out some notable ones, okay? So the first one is João Felix, who's had 2 spells with Chelsea.
Oh, less.
He's had less. He scored 5 Premier League
less.
goals. Okay,
yeah.
Right, good. We're starting easy. The next one is more or less than Gabriel, and that is Anthony.
Oh, less.
He scored 5 Premier League goals. Oh, by the way, these are all forwards and or wide forwards in the modern sort of
goal
parlance.
scorers, goal getters.
There's a few more here. This one's going back a bit further. So, do you remember Joe, the Brazilian forward who played for Man City and Everton?
Oh, right. I do.
More or less than Gabriel, 17 goals.
I don't know.
Less again.
More.
Less. He scored 6 goals.
Okay. Are you going up in order? You're going up.
Can you see a trend developing here?
I can see 5, 5, 6. Yeah. So.
Right. The next one. Again, he's had a couple of spells in the Premier League. Currently playing for Chelsea, and that's Jadon Sancho.
Less because he didn't. Did he play much for City in the Premier League?
No, he was only a youth player for City, but he played for Man United, didn't he?
Just about. He's probably got about
less.
10, 12.
Less. He's got 9. I did pick out a couple of Arsenal-related ones. Okay, so the next one that I've got here is Gervinho. More or less than Gabriel?
I'll go more.
Less.
Less. He's got 9.
Bloody
He's got 9 goals. That's Gervinho. Now, the next one, I absolutely could not believe.
Less.
Yeah. Faustino Asprilla. for Newcastle.
No way.
9
Less.
Premier League goals.
No.
Can you believe it?
No.
He wasn't there very long. That's the thing. In my head, he was there for ages for Newcastle and was like a really big part of it. Pretty much a season. And in the Champions League and stuff like that. I think.
Tino.
Right. Another one, a bit of a journeyman. He played for a few clubs in the sort of middling 2000s, I think it was. And that is Asamoah Gyan, if you remember him. Played for Ghana internationally.
Yeah, I know the name.
I think he played for Sunderland, West Brom, come to mind. And there was another one, but I can't remember who.
I'm going to say less, just on the basis that they're all less.
Less, yeah. He scored 10. He scored 10 goals in the Premier League. What about this one then? Current Man United centre-forward, Rasmus Højlund.
I don't think he's up to 17 Premier League goals.
No, he's not. Less than Gabriel. He scored 11. This player's had 2 spells in the Premier League. Timo Werner.
He's crap. So he's been caught offside more times than Gabriel, I tell you that.
Less. He scored less than Gabriel, 12. Edison Cavani.
He was at United, wasn't he?
He didn't. He wasn't there long enough to
got
score.
About 13.
12.
12 as well.
Currently playing for Brighton. Highly touted winger. You know, on everyone's kind of shopping list for a few years ago. Kaoru Mitoma.
Well, less.
13.
Less
He scored less. Yeah,
Jeez.
absolutely right. Current Man United wide forward, bit of a youth player, but is from, I think he's Argentinian. Alejandro Garnacho.
Less.
Less 13. Yeah, correct. Good. You're doing really well now. What about this one? Probably the first big money buy that Man City made when, you know, the current owners came in, and that is Robinho.
The guy who thought he was going to Chelsea.
Robinho, who I think is serving time in prison now, but the less said about that, the better. Less 14. He scored 14 goals. Yeah, absolutely right.
Is it getting risky yet, Chris? He's getting close to 17.
Right, there's 2 left. They're not as interesting as maybe the other ones, but we'll see how we go. Marouane Chamakh.
With his gelled little mohawk hair.
I'm saying nothing about his hair, given how thin and
less
15. He's got 15 goals compared to Gabriel's 17. And the final one is an interesting one because he scored a lot of goals for Watford that essentially kept them up for a little while, and then got a very surprise move to Manchester United for a short time, and that is Odion Ighalo.
Well, I'm just on the basis that less. Every other one is less.
Yeah, less. 16. It's unbelievable. Given, and I've just worked this out, so who has tied now, because they scored today for Liverpool in the game against Man City. So who now is tied? Salah. That'd be ridiculous. Cody Gakpo is now tied with our central defender Gabriel for number of goals in the Premier League. What a player!
Wow. I thought you were going to ask goal scoring defenders in the Premier League. So Steve
strikers, actual forwards. Oh, Steve Bruce is on another level.
Yeah, he got like 20 in one season.
And didn't play for England.
He took penalties, didn't he? That was
mental.
His thing, I guess. Right, let's take a break there. And when we come back, we'll look ahead to the United game on Wednesday. Catch you on the other side. Welcome back. We're going to now cast our minds forward to Wednesday, 8:15 kickoff on Wednesday. Odd time, but it does mean, I don't know, as penance, I get to see more of the game because my tutoring finishes at 8:30. So instead of missing a first half, I'm only going to miss 15 minutes. If there's one game every season or one set of games every season that I don't look forward to, it's any game against Manchester United. They've got their new manager in place. They've had a very uninspiring draw away at Ipswich in his first game. They've beat a very bang average European team 3-2 in midweek. They stuffed Everton today 4-0. Rashford got 2, Xerxes got 2. I did look at the stats in that game a little bit. Everton had 8 attempts on goal to United's 11. Just Everton don't have a striker. Couldn't take the goals. Even in the first half, they were 2-0 down, but Everton had as much dominance in the game as United did, but just they just lack of any sense of efficiency in the penalty box.
Was old short arms Pickford in goal for Everton, was he?
He was, yes.
Right. That might explain it.
The biggest highlight from today's game, though, was the fact that in a 3-minute spell at the start of the second half, both Kobe Mainu and Martinez, whatever his first name is, Lisandro Martinez, picked up a yellow card each, which means they're both suspended for our game on Wednesday, which is a right touch. So it means that Maguire and
Do you think they've double booked
Ugarte...
themselves?
Yeah, I think it was deliberate, yeah. Ugarte and Maguire probably will come in those positions. Maguire may well have an absolutely worldy of a match against us and score a bullet header winner in the 96th minute. Whatever, right now, I'm quite happy if he's lining up in defence against us on Wednesday. I'm not going to the game. School night. Chris, are you going?
Yeah.
Steph, are you going?
No.
He's not undecided.
There's still a part of me, but I've had a really bloody late night at that gig last night, and I just think midweek it's going to
Yeah, you'll be fine by Wednesday.
No.
It's United. So, all right, Chris, how you feeling about it? And when you get around to it, give us your predicted starting 11.
I think we're on a roll. You know, the form's back. There's a feel-good factor, isn't there? And there's no reason why we shouldn't be going into this as favourites and feeling the way Liverpool are going as well. I just feel that it's pretty obvious what our objective is now in terms of maximum points from the next half a dozen games. So I'm fairly bullish. I think we're going to win, and I think we're going to put out a similar side. Even if Partey's 80-20, I still think he's going to put Jorginho in centre mid and Rice to his left. So it's going to be Raya, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, Calafiori, Odegaard, Jorginho, Rice, and then I think he's going to bring Martinelli back in as a starter. So Saka, Havertz, Martinelli.
Steph?
Team-wise, I've got exactly the same as yours, Chris. I think Martinelli will come back in. I mean, I've put Partey in. I think if Partey can and he's in reserve, then I want him. But as you say, if not, then Jorginho and Rice, as they were at West Ham. My only thing about the game against Man U is after Saka got his goals yesterday against West Ham and assists, someone put out a tweet saying that he had more goal involvements for Arsenal than Man United had goals. And then I saw that they beat Everton 4-0. I thought, that's annoyed them, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So look, attack-wise, we should be, very buoyed by what we are currently doing. I just, we can't have any sort of moments where we go to sleep and all that kind of stuff. I just want to make sure we're focused.
Or at least be 4-0 up if we do.
That'd be good.
It's a good place to have a little wobble if you're going to have one. I guess Calafiori went off also yesterday, and he did seem to indicate to Arteta that there was a bit of a groin issue, a bit of a muscular issue, but he was then latterly seen laughing on the bench, and Arteta did say that they're just managing his minutes at the moment, so I was reassured that was not anything that's going to keep him out of the United game. Steph?
Is it another ploy where Arteta's told them, when you come off, just touch a part of your body and just pretend, and then they'll think that you might not play.
Just on Gabriel, who did go off at half time, and again, we've got to keep everything crossed that he's okay. There is a wonderfully wholesome video doing the rounds of his 2-year-old daughter singing his song. It's worth checking out in his actual shirt. It's quite funny. She's like kind of drowning in it, but it's quite cool. Yeah, I think I've got the same team that you listed, Steph. I've got Partey starting with Rice and Odegaard. I've got Saka, Havertz and Martinelli coming back in. Bullish, Chris. Prove it in your score prediction. How bullish?
3-0 bullish.
Ooh,
bloody hell.
You're more bullish than me. Does that kind of nudge you into the optimist? I must check an optimist definition at some point. Does that pull you into that? I think
maybe.
When does optimism become delusion?
Not at 3-0. Not at 3-0 at home
true.
against a mid-table team. Steph.
1-1.
Is that you're just doing that because it's the thing that you...
No, 1-1.
You genuinely think we'll draw the game 1-1?
Yeah.
Based on what?
Based on my gut feeling.
That's your gut feeling is 1-1, and you're even considering going to the game.
Yeah, I'm considering going to the game because the atmosphere and the opposition, like the outcome, never really decides it.
The atmosphere won't be great if it's 1-1. It'll be quite taut and tense.
Well, yeah, that's even better.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not. I'd get offer me 7-0 over United any day of the week. Then a 1.
Well, yeah, but right. So in those games when we have, on the rare occasion, been 4, 5, 6-0 up, I actually find them sometimes.
Well, no.
A bit
So the
boring.
West Ham game, the Havertz goal was the only Arsenal goal that I got up and really kind of
Same.
picked the boy up and cheered, threw him up in the air and stuff like that. I agree with you, Chris. The biggest relief goal was the Saka penalty, that definitely because of the game situation. Now, the reason I jumped up in the air for the 4-0 is because it was 4-0. It was like, this is fantastic. I could actually enjoy watching Arsenal play for a bit. Obviously, that bit lasted about a minute and a half and they got back into it. But I'm curious that, Steph, you actually think, based on United's form and Arsenal's form, that the game will be a draw at home? I don't understand that.
Because a bit like I was saying earlier about the manager a month thing, in terms of runs, they come to an end. We're not going to bang another 3, 4, 5 goals in. And similarly, we do show a bit of a vulnerability at the back.
I'm going for because Rashford always scores against us. I'm going for a 3-2 to us because I do think there'll be goals in it, and it's kind of with a little bit of a concern over Gabriel and less so about Calafiori, because I think Zinchenko could come in and do okay there. So I think we'll win. I'm reasonably confident that we'll win. Bizarrely so for me. Ask me at 7:45 or 8:10 before the 8:15 kickoff, and I might change my views a little bit, especially once we've had a look at the actual
teams.
team, the team selections. I'm a lot happier that 2 of their starting 11 are not in the game because of suspension. I think that's really good for us. I just can't see. You take the emotion out of it, as in the scarring from the 90s and the noughties against United, and you look at just where the two teams are at the moment and the players they've got and the form they're in, we will be odds-on favourites to win that game. Okay, games are emotional and Rashford is on a bit of form and he is quite a streaky player, so I do think he'll score against us, definitely. But I think we'll win. I went for 3-2. I was edging towards 3-1, and I thought, no, do 3-2. It's a home win, so that's my take on it. The only other Arsenal-related thing I've got is 14-year-old Max Dowman's been called up to the Arsenal under-21 squad, youngest ever player at Arsenal to be called up to the under-21s. I mean, he's 15 at the end of this month, but still, that's pretty impressive. Again, he's actually too young to play in the FA Youth Cup. He's not allowed to because he's too young. That's the under-18s, but he can obviously play for the under-21s. I don't know what they call that, the Premier League 2 or whatever it's called. I don't know. Right, okay. If there's nothing else Arsenal related, I guess we'll.
I suppose we could just touch on the results today and how, again, it keeps the pressure on us. Chelsea level with us, Liverpool still 9 points clear. Yeah,
Liverpool's next 2 games are away at Newcastle on, I think it's Wednesday, and then away to Everton, lunchtime kickoff on Saturday morning. Merseyside derby. Look, Liverpool cannot keep winning. He says, watching Liverpool keep winning. Isak went off injured for Newcastle this weekend. I don't know whether that means he's out of the game against Liverpool, but that would be just bloody typical if he was. I don't know what kind of form. Newcastle aren't in great form. I think they're floundering in the bottom half of the table, like 11th or 12th.
Yeah, it does seem like Liverpool stars are aligning a bit in that respect.
Yes.
The City, they've hit them in this poor run of form. Like you said, Newcastle coming up potentially without Isak, against us. Results just going their way.
Real Madrid missing half a team.
Yeah. And you need that, don't you? If you're going to go on and win the Premier League, you do need that rubber green. It's not just about your form.
We play them at Anfield in the third last game of the season.
I bet Sky are licking their lips.
I hope we're still in it, because they play Chelsea the weekend before that. I've gone through every set round of fixtures today just to see who's got the harder games and so on. But right, okay. Well, if you do go, Steph, enjoy it. And we'll catch up again for a look back and then a look forward to Fulham at the weekend. So cheers, guys. Cheers for listening. Catch you on the other side. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
The North Bank, an Arsenal podcast. Subscribe, rate and review on your app, and find us on Twitter, Instagram and TikTok at North Bank Pod. Email hello@thenorthbankafc.com and check out our website, thenorthbankafc.com. Produced by The Podcast Company. There's a group on Facebook and it's all like, cheery chit chat. And some grammar pedant went on there and said, your use of apostrophes is appalling or something. And he just, if you don't like it, you can get out. This is an Arsenal group, not fucking class.